This one is all about finding RFIs, sources sought, but also requests for proposals, requests for quotes. The reason I'm lumping this one all together is it's all through Sam.gov. And there's other things you can find in here. So let's go. First, we go to search. Okay, you don't even have to sign in order to do this. Next thing we're going to do is click the plus sign next to all domains. Now we're looking for contract opportunities, so we're going to click on that. And then it's right here where it says notice type. This is where we can basically differentiate between the different things we're looking for. So I'm going to click notice type. And I'm going to look for sources sought. Now, sources sought and requests for information are used pretty much for the same thing, but here it's listed as sources sought. You'll find RFIs under sources sought as well. Now, you have a lot of opportunities that came through here. Look at this, 3,874, but a lot of them are going to be past due, meaning the due date will be behind us. And you can see here, like I'm recording this in June of 2024. This one says it's due December 7th. So the next thing we have to do after we click sources sought is we're going to click dates. And I do this for everything I'm looking for. So for this, it doesn't matter, sources sought, RFI, RFP, RFQ. I want to say the responses are or due, dates are due when. Now you can choose whatever you want. I'm going to say the next 3 months. Okay. So now there's 1,200 sources sought that are due over the next 3 months. Here's something you need to know about sources sought is that there's not going to be a sources sought that comes out before every solicitation. They'll be out before a lot of solicitations. This is a great way to find leads. This is a great way to find an opportunity before the solicitation comes out. Now, this training module is just on finding them. You'll learn more about how to respond to them in other training sessions. So here, there's a lot of things that are coming in here. They're not necessarily related, like foreign animal disease vaccines and fabrication vendors, like 2 totally different things. So now you're going to need to filter this out based on what you're looking for. You can do it in a couple different ways. The less accurate way is to go by keyword. It may be necessary for you to use a keyword if you do not have a product, service, technology that is already being purchased by the government, or that is routinely purchased by the government, something new, innovative, or something that doesn't have a product, service code, or NAICS code. So basically, this applies to a lot of things that are newer, or if you want to pare it down, you can use a keywords. Let's try hyperspectral. So that is very specific. Here we go. I've got 2 hyperspectral opportunities. So this was actually probably the best example of when a keyword is going to help you. Augmented reality could have been a really great one to use if there were any sources sought out. And that's another good point. Just because you're looking for sources sought doesn't mean you're going to find one. That's why we want to do this at least once a week. Make sure that we're staying on top of it. So if I was selling something in the realm of hyperspectral sensor or imaging, or maybe some software tool associated with that, one of these might meet what I want to do. The other way to search, this applies to everything, okay, is we want to go by product, service code, or NAICS code. At this point, you are pretty familiar with what a NAICS code and PSC code are. Just for the heck of it, I'll click on one of these product service codes. Okay, and I did something to do with construction. So it can be a bunch of sources sought. What else can we do? We can pare it down, just like when we were using usaspending.gov. I can look for, hey, is something set aside? Set-asides are usually going to be more applicable to an RFP. When you get into the sources sought section, you're going to learn that, hey, all of these, I'm finding these ahead of the solicitation. So if I respond to one of these, I'm not winning a contract. I'm informing the government on something. I'm developing the relationship. I'm trying to influence. So I might respond to one. It might be for, say, it's this one for this truck mount coring. Eventually, an RFP is going to come out, and I need to make sure that I can search for that. So now, same way that I searched for sources sought, except I'm going to change the notice type. Okay, so now I'm going to look for a solicitation. Okay, so solicitation, construction, my product service code is in there. I don't have any keywords. The other thing is still responses due in the next 3 months. Okay, so now these are going to be RFPs. They're not going to be, or request for quotes. These are not going to be sources sought. And so what is the difference? How do you know? Right here it says opportunity type solicitation. Date offers are due 26 June. So that's good. That's ahead of me. It's giving me a description. And this is thinking, but there's going to be some attachments that pop up too. Sometimes you have to log in to get the attachments. And that should be noticed. It has who the POC is. So there's a Airman First Class, Jedediah. And it also has a primary and secondary point of contact listed there. But when you respond to this with a proposal, you could win a contract. Okay, so that's worth knowing. We want, in the best case scenario, is I've already talked to the government about this. Maybe they want to put me on contract. I've influenced it in some way. Now, if I'm going back, I'm going to go back and just look at a sources sought real quick, just so you can see. When I click on a sources sought, it says sources sought. And let's see here. There's some specific language I'm looking for. There we go. And you'll see this in almost every sources sought. This notice of intent is not a request for competitive quotes. But you may identify your interest and capability to respond to this requirement. Okay, and they're telling you in here what they want you to respond with. Capability statements, tell you a little bit about the opportunity. Of course, you're going to put in a lot more, which you'll see. Okay, so now you know how to find a sources sought, how to find a solicitation. And a solicitation, again, is usually called a request for proposal or a request for quote. And that is something that you write a proposal for and you could win the contract. You submit that, you could win a contract. You submit a sources sought, you're not winning a contract because the solicitation hasn't come out yet. Solicitation is going to come out, but the government's going to do is take your sources sought and see that, first of all, be familiarized with your company, see that maybe you have a set aside that you're recommending. They'll take everything that you put in there and potentially put it in a solicitation if you do your job well. Let's talk about some other things that you can look for here. It goes through pre-solicitations. It goes through solicitations, which we just talked about. Award notice, that's just going to be, hey, somebody was awarded this contract. Justification, sometimes that's if the government awards a sole source contract and they're justifying why they did that. Okay. Sometimes you can look at pre-solicitations and you'll get some interesting things there. I've seen the government put out pre-solicitations basically saying, hey, we're looking for people to speak at a conference. So sometimes looking at these pre-solicitations will give you some ideas for some interesting engagement opportunities. Don't ignore them just for the purposes of this. You're looking at sources sought and you're looking at solicitations, just depending on where you are. One other thing I was going to say is if I'm looking at the solicitations, okay, now again, construction, PSC code solicitation, due next 3 months. The other thing I can do is I can see if anything's already set aside for my business. We looked at SDVOSBs before, and we can see right here, service disabled veteran-owned business set aside. I click that. I look at this. Okay, so I've got a solicitation from the VA that's set aside for something to do with an excavator. Okay, so which means nobody except for a service disabled veteran-owned small business can submit on this. So now if you're working with a company that's SDVOSB and you're looking for leads, you might try to filter through the noise, especially if there's a lot of them. You might try to filter by, hey, is anything already set aside? But what if you may be working for just an 8A or all of the set-asides are in here, woman-owned small business, veteran-owned small business, which is different than service-disabled veteran-owned small business, partial small business set-aside, total small business. So these are going to be opportunities that large companies can't respond to. If a large business or corporation wanted to respond, they would have to partner with a small business. This is really good. This is how you find them. Okay. Now, there is a way, if you sign in, there's a way to track these opportunities. You can set up searches as well, but you have to sign in to be able to do that. Okay. I didn't mention place of performance, but if you are looking for something where maybe it's construction, since we're already looking at this type of thing, and you only want to work in California, now you can put the state in there, put zip code, county, so you can look by where the location of the work's going to be performed. So that's another great tool to use. Okay, that is finding sources sought, RFIs, RFPs, and RFQs. That's how you can do it on Sam.gov. And then I'll see you in the next training.